Joe, good morning. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Joe. I don't own reptiles, and this is...
My name's Adam. I have reptiles, and we do this little podcast where we talk business, reptiles, a little bit of life. And, Joe's got questions about this life that I choose.
I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions for Adam. I got a lot of questions for the people who join us in the chat. And why the heck do you do these things? So...
Mostly for the attention of people that don't have reptiles. That's really why. All of us are like, you know what? It'd really freak people out if we got a snake. That's probably at the core of what we do.
Yeah, I don't think this anymore, but it can be off-putting to normies.
Well,
like myself.
That means we converted you. That means we've been successful.
I don't think that way anymore. No.
Yeah. I realize
people can change, Adam. People can change.
I think that they can, but you could also have understanding and empathy, and that becomes cool then. And then
that's right. That's right.
We all get good, How's your week been, man?
Good. Yeah.
You got the birds heading into the Super Bowl this weekend?
Yeah. That's really fun. I'm looking forward to that. My preference would be to watch it alone in a dark room.
Okay.
So that there's no distractions and nobody else. I don't know. When you watch with people and you're really engaged, you can't really, sometimes you can't focus. You're thinking about the people that are there, and
you don't need to chatter, right?
Yeah, right. Or maybe they say something that is pro Chiefs, and then you want to take their head and just spin it like this. But what's happened?
Do you ever have people that come over and they really don't understand football? They'll be like, they'll just ask you all these endless questions, and you're like, I can't watch this game. It's like me trying to watch soccer, Premier League, and somebody will ask me 19 times what offsides means, and I'm like, look, go Google it, get out of here until you can understand at least what offsides means. Because this is your team, right? This is the big one.
Yeah. And but what's happened is, and it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's ballooned into a whole gathering at the house. So
you guys do like a good reason to throw a good party, though, I have to say.
We do, yes, we do enjoy it. We kind of reluctantly stepped into this, and so it's become a thing. And I'll just have to, if it gets out of, if I need to, I'll go into the guest room. There's a TV in there. So
has the home front coalesced around the Eagles or not? Now, for people that don't know, the counterparts are Buffalo folk.
That's and that is that's the rule. Like, if you're going to come over to the house, you got to root for the Eagles.
Okay.
You can't be rooting for anybody else in my house at this point. So that's what's going to happen.
What you want to make a prediction?
It's going to be the Eagles. I'm gonna say 65-14. That's what I'm gonna say.
Joe, you promised me you would always take the show seriously, protect the work and the brand, and our audience, not insult them. Come on now.
This year will begin a dynasty of Eagles Super Bowls, and we're not talking a two-peat. We're not talking a three-peat. We're talking a minimum 8-peat. Okay.
You got to have the light show behind you. You got to have celebrities coming in. If you're going to cut that promo, man, like.
No, I don't. I really don't know. And I as a true Eagles fan, I am very, very pessimistic about the outcome. So
Okay.
I'm never comfortable as an Eagles fan because they usually do have a good team. More often than not, and this is Philly sports, and this is why Philly sports fans have the reputation that they do, even though there's only a few people that are very, very terrible people, just like any other fan base.
Of course.
But there is a lot of pent-up frustration because the city has 4 teams, and they usually have good teams that don't achieve, the end goal. And that, I think, is more frustrating than just having a terrible team all the time.
Maybe ask Cleveland though. They might take your position. They might swap places with you. Okay. Like that's all well and good until you're like, what about Cleveland? Like it's,
But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's better to be a Cleveland fan. I'm saying it's more frustrating to be an Eagles fan
again,
or a Philly fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't empathize with you, man. Like,
Come on.
I mean, because then what? We go down this path of who suffered more. The Vikings have been to the Super Bowl, but never.
I'm not saying suffering. I'm not even using the word suffering.
You're in the Super Bowl and you're like, it's really frustrating to be us. I got to tell you.
No. I'm just saying it is frustrating. I would say it's more frustrating to have a good team that doesn't achieve their goal than it would be to have a bad team that's bad most of the time.
We should ask Robert about his beloved Toronto Maple Leafs in this context and see what his thoughts are. Today's football and hockey segments brought to you by Husbandry.pro.
Football and hockey segment. Yeah, so it's been kind of fun getting ready. What's up?
I was just say for the record, the extent of my hockey segment is that I acknowledge there is a team in Toronto. I really don't know anything more about hockey. That's going to be about it for me.
That's my favorite sport, actually.
Oh, is it? All right, well, hey, you can let it rip, man. We're both here, so. Right.
Yes, I love this. Go Birds! Come on, go Birds!
But all right, so I know that it's impossible to be unbiased because you're, the Philly guy. But I did a show on Tuesday about, not about, but we talked at one of the segments was we talked about looking at things through a business sense and not an emotional sense. So, for example, economics right now in America, kind of crazy. How do we play it? Doesn't matter if I like it, dislike it. How do I play it in this market? Would you, if you were wagering and had to wager dispassionately, what would you, what would your outcome this weekend look like? 65-14.
What would the outcome look like? I think the Eagles will win. Actually,
okay.
I do think that. If I was to look at both teams, I think they will win.
Both teams. All right, go Birds for you. I tried, guys. I tried to peg him down here. It just didn't work. So you
want to score? You think?
Well, no, I'll flip it around for you. So I will be rooting for the Eagles, but if I were wagering, I would wager the Chiefs by 3 because they're the best close game winners in history, and they're on a three-peat possibility. Like, was my boy Flair say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Nobody's beat the man. And, but I think it's going to be a high scoring, explosive game. I mean, I had my over under at like 65, so I think the score is going to be something like, 33-31, or just something crazy. I think there's too many big explosive offensive, opportunities. And, I think it's going to be a highly charged. This could be one of the better Super Bowls. Sometimes they turn into blowouts. Now, if Philly gets ahead by 2 scores, I like Philly. If it's a close game, it's going to be the Chiefs, I think.
We'll see. I think it's going to be if you want to score a prediction, I think it's going to be the Eagles by 7.
Wow, Eagles in a 1-score game against Chiefs in the Super Bowl. My man. All right, there you go. That's where you get the quality content and the big the hot takes. I
It's
like
a
it, man.
lock. It's a lock.
All right, hang on. Do you want to venture an over under like a total points? Just for fun. No actual consequences.
Yeah,
here.
I would say over. I mean, you said 65. I would say like 55. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna go under the 50. Okay, so Joe's at 55 with Chiefs by 7. Or no, the Eagles by 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you put it at like 21-28, kind of. That'd only be 49. We'll go a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck, man. I'll shoot you a text in the game. I'll ask you to clarify what offsides means, or like what is RPO? They just keep saying RPO.
Run pass option.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
That's the best because you can answer it, and then they'll be like, "What? Okay, what does that mean?" Like, I don't know. Like,
well, it's when the quarterback. It's a play where he has the option to run.
Right. It's like magnets. People are like, "How does my son?" Like, "How's that work?" I'm like, "Well, you got a North Pole and a South Pole, and the opposites attract." He's like, "Yeah, how come this metal wants to stick together, Dad? You really don't know, do you?" And I'm like, "Nah, I got no idea. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there."
Oh man! So, what about you? How about your week? What's been going on with you?
A little bit hectic. Still moving forward on the car wash. Got the walls hung this week. Pretty fun. I think you know what? I think it's still.
Meaning you had the drywall up.
Yeah. I got the drywall up, so the spray foam was in. There you go.
Yeah.
I forgot it was already in the queue from Tuesday night. So, yeah, the drywall is up. I have run into some issues in the most positive way I could say it. I'm learning things. So there's the upside. Unfortunately, the things that I'm learning are costing me several semesters at school at a time. So you could be your own building general contractor in Minnesota. You cannot be your own electrical contractor in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And to pay somebody with an electrical license is getting expensive. And then you can be your own HVAC guy, but the guy says the specific code, I have to put in a specific piece of equipment. And of course, they don't write code for reptile and rodent facilities. So when I need to be getting hot air out of a rodent area because they produce so much heat, the guy says, well, code requires that you use what's called a heat rescue, I think, a heat rescue ventilator or heat retention. And I'm like, I need the heat gone. And he's like, no, you're going to save it so you don't pump cool air in there. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to have hot air that I want out that it has to retain, which is going to cause me to have to put in a mini split AC to cool it down. When 12 inches on the other side of the wall, there's plenty of cold air all around in Minnesota. So, and it's all very expensive. So that's my
all very expensive.
Yeah.
So when did this happen?
It's been ongoing a little bit. I had one of those moments where you ever have those moments in life where you're having a conversation and you think it's a conversation, but the other person thinks it's a fight. But you don't. You don't realize that they think it's a fight until you're on like a 15-second delay. So I'm having a conversation. I think we're getting real productive about what the code says, and here's the exemption. And I found the code that exempts me from that nonsense. And I thought we were just having a productive conversation that was going to get somewhere. And,
oh my gosh!
And he took it as a serious affront to his expertise.
Did you clear that? Were you able to clear that up? Were you able to like backpedal a little bit and go, "Hey, I'm not arguing with you."
I did, but then like he showed his cards and he thinks that I'm under his thumb because he didn't make me put in bathroom facilities in the place, which would have been 3 or 5x times the money I'm talking about. So it's like,
okay.
And I even told him, I said, I didn't ask you to do that. I asked what was necessary. I built my budget around what you told me was necessary. And then I was kind of rude. I was like, we did it right here in the facility where I have cameras and audio recording. I can go back and show you what you told me. So I don't think that I was like,
That
I don't think,
that
I
does
was like,
kind of sound argumentative.
it was argumentative because I was pissed. So, anyway,
I have cameras. I've got you on tape.
Well, I was like, I never asked you for a favor. I never asked you to tell me. I said, I want to do this right. I'm here with an inspector in my facility. What do I need? Let me plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you'll need this. You won't need this. I don't need you to do that. I said, thank you. Perfect. On I go. And now there's unexpected surprises.
Oh boy, that stinks. Is it? And now
I will acknowledge. I know it. Sorry, I know it goes with the territory that budgets get out of hand. It still just drives me bonkers. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Joe. Go ahead.
I mean, is this a part? I know that you have some reserve funds for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are you hitting the? You've always been really transparent with your snake money. So
very good. Yeah.
Is it topping out at this point, or
no?
Or you still got some reserves?
No. I got the reserves, and it's still within the total money that I set aside and financed for the whole project. To your point, I'd wanted to have a reserve set aside because I don't know what the business is going to look like with the car wash. So I wanted to have a few months of operating expenses. And by a few months, I mean 6. I wanted 6 months of operating expenses on the sidelines. That is right now, if there's no money coming in, which there will be, but February is brutally cold and we have a 10-day stretch that's just going to be ugly, so there's not going to be much revenue. But with no revenue coming in, that number is down to about 3 months instead of 6 months projected by the time these expenses come through. So now that's with zero revenue, so there's going to be money coming in. So I mean, it's going to be all right. It just frustrates me, man.
You must be at how long operationally with the car wash? How a month?
I actually 2 months ago today I purchased
2 months
it.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
In January, it paid its own mortgage. I can't believe it. It did it.
That's great. That's really
incredible.
Good.
Yeah. It didn't cover its own utilities, but it covered, or the other operating expenses, taxes, insurance, utilities, but it did cover the mortgage. And so if Proper Royals was operating out of there on a utilities, taxes, and interest only rent schedule, like I'd be thrilled, So, and actually I do expect it to cover. I mean, it's January in Minnesota, by all accounts. And when I say all accounts, I mean, utility usage from prior years. January was the lowest usage of everything, including water, which is what I based a lot of projections on. So now if I get to midsummer and I find that January is the high point, we're gonna have a little problem. So there'll be new surprises, and this moment in time will seem like small potatoes. But I don't think I can quantify prior water usage, which is a pretty big indicator of business at a car wash.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's all good news, man. I think that's even with this, these little hiccups and stuff. I mean, I think you're ahead. If
I could get it done and get in there and get productive. The other problem is me just staring at it empty. It's not making car wash money. It's not making Royals money. It's just there, and I'm like, come on, people, let's get this done. So on a positive note, though, the electrical goes in on Friday, and I don't know, HVAC can go in as soon as electrical. I mean, they can actually hang it even before the electrical. So as soon as that guy gives them the green light, they can get inside and get going.
That's going to be exciting. That's great. And for anybody who's just tuning in, Adam's business is a snake business, but then also a car wash. So figure that one out.
You didn't. It's Joe. This is chapter 1, page 1 of Smart. There's a book called Smart Business Decisions, and this is actually it's the preface. This is the premise that the whole book is written on. Is what there is.
Now let me ask you: when this whole thing is finished, will you it's just going to be an operating facility for your snakes, right? It's not like you're not going to invite people to come in and look at your snakes, right?
I will.
Will it be that way? I don't know.
By appointment only. So technically, for a commercial retail zoning that I'm in, I have to be open and available for business. But I can do it like a spa or salon would, where it's by appointment only. So it's not going to be, hey, are you guys bored on a Saturday? Come look at snakes at the car wash. No, absolutely not.
It's not going to be walk-ins. You're not accepting walk-ins.
But I do want a place where, for example, like some of the premise of my whole brand or my whole business has been to try and do things right and authentically and legitimately. And here I am saying, I feel like I breed the best live rodents in Minnesota, but you got to meet me at the Quick Trip in the parking lot so I can drop them in your trunk real quick.
Right.
I got to get out of doing business that way. I can't stand it. So it'll be great to be able to say, yeah, here's the address. Come pick up the rodents, and you'll see the sign on the door and the facility. And then they come in, and if you're buying rodents, you have something that you're feeding them to, and the odds are you have a ball python, and welcome to all of these are for sale as you walk in kind of deal. You know, I can have a little show space too.
Yeah. You've planned for that in this space?
Yeah, I wouldn't say show space, but they're going to walk by people are just going to be like, what is in that? And I'll just be like, yeah, just check out the labels. They're all, that's the for sale rack. That's the, that's the retail stock rack.
Do you think, I guess most breeders do operate like, let's meet in the Walmart parking lot, right? Most of them do.
Yeah. Or you got to have people at your house. If I had like a walkout basement entrance, I would be more comfortable having people here, but they have to walk through my front door, through my living room, down the stairs, through my music space, and into No, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't know who they are.
I don't know who's coming and going, all that. I don't have I have security measures here, but it's not. I don't want to get into those measures with family and kids and people and all of that. So it's just going to be better all around there. It's going to have a whole lot more authenticity. I can get insurance there. I can't insure anything here. If I insure the business here, the home insurance will go, see you later. And if home insurance finds out that I have, I don't know, however many heat panels cranking through the walls of electricity here, they're going to be like, we're not going to insure you. So I literally have nightmares of fires and insurance and losing everything. Yeah. So that makes it all worthwhile to get out and make the headache worthwhile.
And now with the space that you're in right now, that's going to become vacant. What will you do with that space then?
I'm gonna pump some iron, Joe. I'm gonna get big. Gonna get some gains. No, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's still gonna be a usable and pretty finely tuned facility. There's been
I mean, you put a lot of you invested a lot into making that space ready for this kind of activity. I just was wondering, what else could you do? And you're such an enterprising human being. I didn't know if it was going to be like space for like personal and fun stuff, or is it going to be another aspect? So you're going to get into some other business besides snakes and car washing?
Well, Yeah, you can never rule that out with me, because really, who had the snake car wash on their bingo card for this year?
Snake rodent car wash.
That's right. That's right. There have been a variety of business ideas that come and go and get floated by me that are sort of adjacent to the reptile industry. So, for example, I could keep backup stock here. This could be a distribution point if if somebody needs temperature controlled landing area with somebody that they trust. There's space here. It's just 400 square feet down here of pretty tightly controlled temperatures. And if I actually, now I don't know how things will shape up over the next year. Things are very uncertain on this front, but say it shows I wanted to get into some more dry goods or distribution of other retail goods. Now I have space. Like, I've never had a space where I could store that stuff. That's the biggest problem with retail, is the storage footprint. Where do you put the crap that you buy? Like, I have all my new rodent equipment, and it is lined nearly wall to wall in my music space right now. Like, if anybody ever comes over to jam right now, they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Well, those are rodent homes right there."
Yeah.
Troy is onto it now. We get, like, all I really want is like the slow motion, high def, like me just swinging the the spray and it like an 80s metal video, instead of the girl on the hood of a Trans Am, like it's me in the car wash with the sprayer.
Yeah, man, I think that would get a lot of likes.
Yeah, they might be the ironic likes where they don't actually really like it. Look at this circus clown.
So a distribution point maybe down there, huh?
Of some description, I don't know, just wherever space could be utilized, or wherever I can be of value to somebody. I think that when there's prepared opportunity, I was going to say there's a quote that I really like, but I can't remember it, so I guess I don't like it that much. But it's essentially like a prepared mind. It operates better, or executes better, or creates luck. We've talked about that. Like, how do you harvest luck and opportunity? Well, you get prepared and you open your mind to, all right, what's the next step for this space? It's plumbed. It's an epoxy floor. It's temperature controlled, and it's very private. So what's the next step for this space, kind of deal?
Right. Let me ask you this. So will you save on energy costs personally?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
My electric and gas bill for January was $560.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, gee.
And and here's the problem from a tax standpoint.
Right. That's my next question.
I only get the square footage allocation percentage of the house.
Right.
So
yeah,
that might have been mumbo jumbo to a lot of people, but if this room is only 10% of the house, the deduction that I get from the 560 is only going to be $56. So I eat the other 514. So I'm looking forward to being able to say, no, all those expenses were all business expenses. So now that's keeping rodents warm and happy, but it's also keeping the snakes warm and happy.
Yeah. That's great, man. I just keep coming back each week. I love like coming in on Thursday morning and seeing the progress that you're making. I think it's really, really inspiring, definitely.
Well, thank you. The jury's out on whether I can recommend it or not, but I appreciate the support.
You're following what you want. You set a clear goal and you're following what you want. And that really kind of dovetails into our topic today, which is, flow, getting into flow, doing the thing that you want, and you're getting into the zone.
Yeah, zone, man.
First of all, what is that? And how do you get to do that? And I I feel like you might be one person that is in the zone more than anybody else that I know.
Well, I take it as a compliment because I don't feel that way, but it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily true. So
You don't feel that way.
no, and I want to make sure the audience knows we're talking about. Like, we've all heard the expression being in the zone, or basket, an NBA shooter that is just, they're on fire, or teammates that seem like they can't miss and like they're on their own like wavelengths. All of those analogies and all of those expressions. There's actually a scientific concept, and it's, as you mentioned, it's called flow. And flow is the psychological state. It says that this is from the National Institute of Health, where individuals experience complete immersion and focus in an activity. But here's my favorite part of the result of this particular definition: leading to enhanced performance and satisfaction.
Yeah,
That's
right.
That's the cool thing. Like, not only are you being productive, you're feeling a little bit high on, like, you're getting this like performance high. And then this is interesting as well. They included this in the definition. It's characterized by a balance between the challenge of the task and the individual's skill. So the sweet spot for flow in the zone is things you could do really well with just a little bit of an icing of a challenge on top of it. Not way up here where it's unattainable, and not here where you're bored. It's right here where you're excited to get to that next level. We always hear level up, advance, all of that, those nifty words, So flow. What's
like
what's
if
like,
you
go ahead.
You go like if you're frustrated with what you're doing, you're not in flow. Like if it's too challenging that you get frustrated by it, you're not really in flow. But it's that level. I kind of cling to that. Yeah, it's that level where you go, this is challenging to me, and you're operating your brain in such a way where you are making progress, though. Like you're seeing it. Like one of the characteristics that I've always of being in flow that have always kind of like it was like it's like a bell going off, and I go, oh, I was in flow then. And it's usually retroactively looking back at an activity is like the loss of time. Like there's a time distortion in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I lose, like, you could be in flow where time kind of slows down, but I usually notice when I'm in flow, when I look back and I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's, at this time of day. And I thought it was so much earlier. So I lose time when I get into the zone. And that happens. It doesn't really happen a lot for me, but it happens when I'm doing things like I always notice when I'm playing guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like learning to play guitar, I just lose time. And so it's like a perfect example for me. You're learning, it's a challenge, but it's not too much of a challenge, and you're seeing progress as you're doing it.
Right.
Like that to me is like you're in flow. You're in the zone. And then all of a sudden it's 3 hours later and you've learned to play a new Jim Croce song.
There you go. Yeah. Time in a bottle. Yeah. I was trying to think of we all talk about being in the zone, or I was crushing it, killing it, whatever. But I'm stubborn. I like definitions. I like systems and processes. So I like quantifying things. Okay. What were the moments of flow, and what were the characteristics that matched each scenario? So I thought of a couple. One being when I'm fly fishing in a river. And I'll tie all these together in a minute, but just take my word for it that I'm totally almost hypnotized. And the productivity of fly fishing is A, catching fish, but B, I just do some amazing clear thinking. Like I can think through so much. And like you say, you lose track of time and all of that. But I have to be in the river doing that. Is what I've noticed to really get to that state. The second is there are times when I'm on stage performing, particularly with a band, but sometimes alone as well. And then there are nights that I really look back in being in the kitchen, and some of the busiest nights that went the very, very best that stand out in my mind as like highlights of my career. And those were flow states. And I was like, all right, what could possibly all of those things have in common?
Okay.
And to me, they are like full sensory experiences. So when I'm in the river, the water is going by me. I'm seeing the light shimmering. I'm hearing the white noise of the river, and I'm ultra focused on where I want that cast to go and where I think that fish is going to be. I'm taking into account the wind. I'm really thinking through why that fish will be there in the riffle, and I'm going for it. Music. I know the song, but I got to listen. And especially with a band, I got to listen to the other people. I got to make sure that I'm accounting for their variables in real time. Are they going to go to the next segment of the song at the right time, or are they not? And there's an audience. There's the vibrations of the sound. I probably have a beverage or two in me, so I'm a little loosened up and less inhibitions, and I'm enjoying it. And then the kitchen, there's an absolute ruckus, people coming and going. And it technically is probably loud, but the best nights are when actually everybody's working and the only words that are being spoken are true, what I need right here, right now. There's no who's going out tonight, who's doing what, I'm pissed at this isn't right. No, it's I need this. Yes, I got it. I need this. Yes, I got it. Get me a runner. Yes, I got it. Boom, boom, boom. And you know it's moving, man. And the organization to feed 300, 400, 500 people smoothly and not knowing what they're going to order ahead of time is a real challenge when we think about it. And those moments. So the sensory immersion, proper preparation, it leads to really good results. And then like there's like some scientific stuff of how you could create flow, which I don't necessarily agree or disagree with, but I also notice there's an absence of stress and an absence of distractions. If I'm running that kitchen, this phone is nowhere near me. I have no clue where it's at. I don't care where it's at. If it's a true emergency, somebody will be able to come find me. Get rid of it. So if I'm totally stressed, if I know I'm understaffed and there's probably no way I can execute tonight, I'm never going to get to flow. So an absence of stress and an absence of distractions and a full sensory immersion that's the flow right there.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, if you look back and you go, those are the times and they're the times that you are performing most productively. Is that correct? I mean, that's the definition of flow.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Performing effectively.
Outperforming my average by a long shot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. And so if you identify those moments on a regular basis, then you can go, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. If you're a person who's like me, that's like, well, I like this, I like that, I like this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try accounting, I'm going to do this, if you can look back on those moments and go, this is where I am performing most effectively, then you can direct your life in a certain direction. Not only that, though, if you do have a business, there's so many different aspects that you need to take care of to handle your business, right? So if you're building a business and you do have employees, you want to get to a stage where you're going, I am doing my flow work, and I'm going to hire people around me so that they can do the things that about the business where I don't work as effectively.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of things in life, as we talk through it, we go, well, yeah, of course we're going to be most productive if we're not stressed, if we don't have distractions.
Yeah.
But we don't focus on it. And so it doesn't happen. I was reading a book and I think it has one of these catchy titles. I think it's called The Road Less Stupid or something like that. But really the whole book was about setting aside productive time to absolutely think and stay organized, and to give yourself that, not only give yourself that, require that of yourself for just what you're talking about. All your people around you, you could stay organized and delegate clearly. If you don't have people around you, you could come up with your own plan and think clearly for it. And that's all well and good, right? Until, 9 o'clock one night on a, -2 degree night, your boiler goes out. You're like, well, okay, yeah, this is definitely disruptive to my flow. And it's always going to be like, it doesn't work that way. Or your rodent facility has a little flood out on one of the tubs, or, so there's always those variables in life. But I think that there's a happy ground because those things will happen. Yeah. But I think if you can offset those things happening with, I'm going to set aside time to be, how do I reduce stress? Well, I get rid of variables and I get rid of surprises. I don't like surprises. It doesn't do me any good. I like to know what I'm doing and I can plan accordingly. So get organized, get systems, get processes. So that's part of my stress at the car wash is I don't know what I don't know. Today, for example, I have to go to the supply warehouse and buy soap. I didn't know how long soap lasted. It's lasted a little bit over 2 months, but I have to go get it now. But now I could put in a reminder. Okay, if I used it up in 2 months in January, how about every 5 weeks I set a reminder, check your soap inventory and make sure you always have a +1 on hand. Okay, now that's done. I won't have that distraction. So as I learn them, I create processes with things. And that's do you ever have good.
And you're doing that so that you can, those processes can make you more efficient so that you'll have the time to get to the spaces where where you are in the zone, or is that your zone to come up with those processes?
Both. Yeah. I feel stress leaving me as I'm coming up with processes. And then the other thing that I really hate is wasted time. So today I didn't plan. It's about an hour round trip to this place. Excuse me, an hour each way to this place. And I've never been there. So I know I'm going to spend an hour introducing how lucky is this? For all my complaints, about another 12 miles down the road past the car wash, there is an actual car wash supply and service center. That's unbelievable. Nice. Unreal. Didn't even know they existed. So I have to go there today, but I want to learn about what services they provide. Maybe I can use them for preventative maintenance. Maybe they tell me their prices and I go, well, I got to learn all this on my own. But if I knew I was going there, I would schedule some calls while I was driving, or I would schedule some podcasts that I would download and learn. Or maybe I would go, you know what? I'm going to enjoy a drive on a beautiful day and crank up, some Exile on Main Street from the Stones. And I could plan for it all versus right now where I'm like, there's 3 hours out of my day I'm never going to get back because I got to go buy soap. And I didn't know that it was unplanned and uncertain. So, but that's a learning curve. So the things that I do regularly, I ultrasound on certain days of every 3 weeks. I get an alarm. Okay, time to ultrasound. I clean the rodents with Perry, or Perry cleans the rodents on Thursdays. On Mondays and Thursdays, we flip the snake room. So like these schedules eliminate variables and eliminate surprises. And when I know what's coming and when it's coming, then it doesn't really matter if it's good or bad. If I have to shovel out the drains at the car wash, that's about the most unglamorous job a person could have. If I know I got to do it once a month and I know what day it's coming, I do that. So, Reptile Sam, now you're talking my language. Can I get that stuff on auto ship? Yeah, I probably can. I don't know exactly even what it's called. So I have to, I took a picture of the bucket and I know where he bought the bucket. So I'm going to go learn it. But yes, that sort of thing. So for the rodents, I actually pay a little bit more from Chewy.com just to have the rodent food shipped directly to my house on auto ship. I don't think about it. I don't go drive it. I don't know. I probably pay $10 extra versus what I could get from a local place if I bought a pallet at a time. I don't store it. I don't anything. It's just there, and it's a great value for me. Boom. Thank you very much. So, but yeah, Sam,
there are
exactly
you mentioned the word glamorous. I was actually going to say something like we've talked about, I don't like. We've talked about the different things that get us into flow. I think there are unglamorous things that I get into flow about too. Like, we're going to be in tax season. I'm going to do a bunch of tax returns. I definitely lose time doing that, and I'm good at it. Like, we have a process that we use, and to have that process down and know all the different parts of the process.
Right.
There's something about that where it's just like, boom, 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 that I'm good at.
Yeah.
Now, when I was brewing, I started at the same time at this brewing company with another guy. He was just much better at that process. Like, he could keep the things better in his head. Those are not, and basically brewing is, it's kind of like breeding snakes. You're cleaning constantly.
That's
you're
right.
Sanitizing constantly.
That's right. Yeah.
That's it. And there's a whole process of cleaning the tanks and doing everything that you need to do to make sure that everything is in, up to code and all of that.
Yeah.
I didn't have the brain to do that. This guy could do it twice as fast as I could do it.
Yeah.
Because there was something about that process that I could not get into the groove of. Maybe that's the word, into the groove of.
Right.
But sitting down, doing a bunch of tax returns with the process that we've created, I'm there. And then all of a sudden it's the end of the day.
So what do you do anything knowing that that's coming? This is apropos. Everybody should have all of their tax documents post-stamped, postmarked by January 31st. So you're about to get cooking here. Is there anything you do as a change in your environment? Or do you, I'm intrigued in my mind, because this is sort of an aha moment late last night when we were show prepping in the conference room. This thing of this full sensory thing is intriguing to me. I almost want to explore that and understand it. But is there anything that you do to set the stage for flow for yourself, where you get really psychologically comfy?
So I know that I'm easily distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better working at home than I am on certain things. But those things where I have to be focused, I'm better, and I get more things done when I work at home. So I'll make sure, and right now my desk has a whole bunch of stuff on it.
Right.
I'm going to clean all that off and just, focus. So I have to limit distraction. Like you said, I have to limit distraction, but I keep my phone there because that's not, there's work stuff. That's the only thing that I keep by me. And then I just get to it. I sometimes I don't even notice when the phone goes off. Like, Chelsea would be like, I've been texting you all day. And it's like, I don't even recognize that the phone is buzzing because you get into that space. The door's got to be closed. There can't be sound. I mean, and during this time at these offices are very, very busy. And so sometimes you gotta find your spot, find your space, create the space, and get to work.
Yeah.
What about you? You do anything?
Yeah. I so my perfect scenario is spring, summer, or fall. We have this outdoor, it's sort of a porch, but in Minnesota, it's in most other states, it would just be another room, but here it's a porch because it's not fully insulated and everything. So it's windows and all, but all the windows can be open, and 3 of the walls are windows. So I mean, it's floor to ceiling windows. I'll put on either classical music or just straight white noise. Like I have a white noise app, and I know nothing about classical music. I couldn't tell you what number it is. I don't know anything. I don't know any of it.
Yeah.
But when I put on the music I typically listen to, it's almost like I know too much about it. I start figuring out how the song is constructed in my head. I'm like, oh, if this is in the key of A, it's A, now they're going to D. There's the E. Of course, there's the E. And I don't do that on classical music. It's just there, but it's not, I'm not explicitly engaged in it, or I'm not being inspired by lyrics or laughing at how stupid lyrics are. There's none of that distraction. So I like that. Why I said that about the room, we have a very big ash tree in the backyard, and there's always seems like a breeze here coming off the plains and the prairie. So the leaves are rustling. There's that noise. It's a very comfortable temperature. And I do great work in the afternoons out there. Once we get out of the winter doldrums, the afternoon office work is on the porch out back there.
Yeah.
And I do good work there. Down here, I do there's actually not it's funny. This is like the anti-sensory. There's no windows. Well, the windows are blocked off, but I don't know if it's sunny or crappy outside. My lights are on a timer. I know exactly what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. I have my daily lists of, okay, it's this day. This has got to get accomplished. On we go. So I find myself in flow down here a lot, and something about it being enjoyable makes it better. I like, I'm still amazed at the snakes. I still am mystified by some of the things that they do. And so that stuff's exciting to me as well.
So you mentioned the afternoon work, the afternoon office work is great. And I think you were referring to the weather.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
But it could be rainy though. And it's that sensory, like, nature sound. So whether it's leaves rustling with the wind, whether it's rain and the tick of a rain or whatever, the smells of it, I have the windows open, I can smell the seasons. It's all nice, man.
So the other, like professionally, the other time that I get in the flow, no matter what, whether I'm writing an email or writing something fun or whatever, is when I'm writing. Like when I'm writing, I love it. But writing is a weird thing because, especially if you're creatively writing, right? Like you're not always prepared to put out your creativity. So it visits you. That's what I think. Like, there's this thing, and other people might disagree, but I always felt like it's this thing that visits you, and it's like you gotta write this, So it made me think when you were saying, are there certain times, points where you have to be in the right mood or have the right disposition to actually get into this zone?
Yeah, but not being in that mood is caused by disruptions, stress, frustrations.
You give yourself more of an opportunity when you do these.
You've laid the groundwork better for this sort of muse that you're describing to come to you. And it's, on the one hand, it's frustrating because we know things always happen, but we also can reduce the things that always happen. We all know somebody in our life that is just like forever drama, forever something going sideways, always can't quite get their stuff together. And you're just like, hey, why don't you make some plans? Like, you could eliminate some of these. Like, yes, your power got turned off, but you did get a couple bills and you knew it was going to be due. The people I'm talking about, when you're looking from the outside and you're like, just take a moment and get right, and then this is all going to get better. That's a really extreme example. But on a small amount, oh, you're disrupted and you couldn't get out to the porch this afternoon to do your afternoon workout. I mean, you didn't get your flow done. Yeah. Well, you didn't check your soap levels last week, and now you don't have a choice because you got to make a 3-hour trip to get a bucket of soap that you should have paid for. Right. It's the same thing. It's just not nearly as dramatic or exciting. Like,
it's funny. It's funny the kind of work that you need to do in order to get to the place where you're in the zone. You have to, I mean, you mentioned, athletes and things like that. I mean, how much training and do they need to go through to get themselves into a position where they can actually get into the zone? You're mentioning this, doing these everyday planning and making sure that you can go, okay, and have that time to get into the zone. There's so much planning that of in states where you are not in that zone to actually get you there.
Right. But we always hear of any group settings where the disruptors are so-and-so is always late. Hey, can you get right or not? Because you're disrupting not only yourself, but the rest of us. You're disrupting our flow. Can you be on schedule and be reliable? Or, it was a nightmare at the restaurant all the time. Hey guys, people would be like, well, how do you, if you got to give me 5 minutes to be late, or the flip side, managers, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. And I used to tell people, I say, look, here's your schedule. It's 4:00. At 4:10, we do lineup. And at 4:10, you better be dressed, mentally, physically ready to work and in place, ready to work. If you have to get here at 3:30 to do that, that's up to you. You know yourself. If you can't get yourself together, then you need to be here at 3:30. There's other people that can press, iron their clothes, look sharp, and walk straight in the door at 3:59, and they're mentally prepared at 4. But whatever it takes, you have got to be here and committed to this team at 4:10. Don't come interrupt this. And if you're not, don't interrupt this meeting once we've started it. You don't get that privilege.
Yeah.
So
we've got a few sponsors that we want to mention.
We do have a few sponsors.
But while we do that, I also want to hear from the chat. When are you all in flow? We got one answer here. Headphones playing bongo music. Little Devil's Lettuce.
It's you got your romaine, you got your iceberg, and you got your devils. It's right there.
And I can code 10 hours straight. Where else? What other times are you guys in flow state? I want to hear that while we talk about some of the people that help us be here.
I just had a vision of like somebody mixing up their lettuces. Like that would just be, it would be Bert says kayaking. I get that, man. Being out on the water, the up and down, the rhythm of it, the almost meditative like tempo of the paddling. I get it, man. Guys, if you would like to track your data, organize your day, eliminate surprises, systematize and process size. I'm making up words now. What you do with your reptiles, Husbandry.pro is your answer. If you feel like I speak your language when you go through your day, then I tell you, Husbandry.pro helps me do that immensely. You can track feedings, growth, follicle development, breeding systems, and it's so deep of what's available. I'm not even doing it justice of everything that's available. The labels, the QR codes you can send to customers, you can print your show labels. There's a shopping venue, the e-commerce site, all of that in Husbandry.pro. Check it out for free for 60 days. P Royal 60 will get you there. And if you use that code, then the fine folks at Husbandry.pro know that I sent you too. So go check it out. You don't even have to use a credit card or anything. You can get right to work. And then when your time is expiring, they'll, hopefully you're in love and love the product by then, and you'll be happy to buy it. It also, I have to say, I don't talk about price very much because I always feel like value speaks for itself. The price is such an incredible value. The value and the experience far outweighs the price of what you're getting. Even if you save yourself 20, 30 minutes a day and you compare it to whatever hourly rate you make, you're going to be like, this is an incredible value. So go check it out. Husbandry.pro. PRoyal60 will get you there. They also power properroyals.com. And if you don't remember the code, you can just go to properroyals.com and there's a banner there and you can click right on that as well. Likewise for Cold Blooded Cafe, there's a banner on properroyals.com for Cold Blooded Cafe. Go to Cold Blooded Cafe, use the promo code PROPER11. You get 11% off of your next order. If you've used that code before, they're hooking you up. They reset it. You go get it again. Go check it out again. That's from Desiree and the team at Cold Blooded Cafe. Fantastic domestic raised frozen rodents that are the freshest and that I believe in. And I'm going into my third year now working with Cold Blooded Cafe, and I was a customer before then. It's fantastic. Reagan, Renee, Royal Pythons. That is Charlie Ryan, fantastic breeder, U.S. Marine veteran. And just one of the really brilliant minds in the industry, if you ask me. His organization shows in the production of his snakes and the quality of his snakes. Go check out Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. You might recognize him too because he is the current and defending 15 Minutes of Lame champion. You'll see him around and about. He's a great guy. Go check out Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Last but not least is Kreative Genetics. That's Keith. He and I did a breeding program last year, Clown Axanthic project. So he's got some of those babies working. He was the provider of the visual Clown Axanthic. So he's working those projects as well as genes like Stranger, Highway and Super Gravel projects and Super Gravel Clown projects. Check out his Morph Market and Instagram. Thank you to all the sponsors that can all be found in the description below. What are we hearing that people do for finding flow, man?
Looks like listening to music and cleaning snakes. Okay, well, that's perfect for this.
Right, yeah, that's the stuff we talked about, the full sensory stuff, and a little bit of activity in there.
Making lesson plans. That's interesting. Training for this marathon. I trained for a marathon once. I never was in flow. Never. So good for you. That's great. In the reptile room, it's got to be tabletop gaming in person with some friends. That's really fun. I started this graduate class. I can't believe I get there on Tuesday nights at 6, and before I know it's 8:30. Just being with other people and chopping it up with them. It's fantastic. It's great.
I know we're a little bit over time, and I don't want to make this a massive topic, but one thing that I find for myself too is when there's a new challenge that, again, to bring it full circle, feels just out of my grasp, but it's close enough where I'm like, oh, I'm going to figure this out and get you.
Yeah.
That gets me going on flow as well, to the point where one time I had a performance review from a general manager, and at the time it really stung, and then I sort of have embraced it. But he says, Adam's always looking for the next big thing. I need him to just focus on what we do. And I was like, that sounds like the most boring thing in the world. Of course I'm looking for the next big thing. Of course I want to blow people's minds for what's next. Like, why would you want to driven, in my mind, I'm not saying there's not value to what he was saying, but in my mind, I was like, why would you want us just to tread water perfectly? That would drive me crazy. And that was his vision versus mine. And I realized that was a bit of a square peg, round hole. Like maybe, okay, I understand the expectation, but that doesn't necessarily fit me. Where somebody else might be like, I just want to know what I need to get done every day, every time, and I'm your man for it. So some of it is finding your own thing, and what just looking yourself in the mirror, going, all right, what are my positives and negatives? We all got them.
That's what I love about this conversation, is that everybody finds their different thing, and to be in the zone is a highly personal thing. I think it's not like my zone is going to be your zone. Definitely not. Like so it's definitely something that you have to do. There's some self-discovery that needs to happen in order to, and some recognition of those moments. And then, that helps with your self-awareness and your direction and what to do next. I think I really appreciate this conversation. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. We had a really good crowd today too, both volume and quality. So
yeah.
I hope you appreciate it. Also, big shout out to Elias, always sharing our screens on Instagram, telling everybody about it. We appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys being here. I feel really lucky and blessed to actually know and have met most of you that I see every week in person. And I got to say thanks. I'm not the best at, all the shout outs and the roll calls and all of that. I take a little bit of pride in trying to get down to content, but I do have to say thanks. Likewise to you, Joe. Good luck to your birds. I hope Saquon finds his flow, baby.
We'll see what happens this weekend. Birds by 50. That's what
Birds by 50. You heard it here. If they do that, we'll talk about it next week on Proper Cup of Joe. See you guys.